In January 2026, the United States government released over 3 million pages of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein. What they revealed sent shockwaves through the intelligence community and reignited one of the most controversial questions in modern espionage. Was Jeffrey Epstein connected to foreign intelligence? The files contain FBI memos stating that a confidential informant believed Epstein was a co-opted Mossad agent. They reveal extensive ties to former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak and senior Israeli intelligence officers. They show financial connections to Israeli military and political causes. But they also raise more questions than they answer. This is an investigation into the Epstein-Mossad connection, what we know, what we don't know, and why this story refuses to go away. To understand the intelligence theories surrounding Jeffrey Epstein, we need to start with what we absolutely know to be true. Jeffrey Epstein was a financier with unclear sources of wealth who cultivated relationships with some of the most powerful people in the world. He owned properties equipped with extensive security systems and, according to multiple victim testimonies, hidden cameras. He operated for decades despite credible allegations of serious crimes. And when he was finally arrested in 2019, he died in federal custody under circumstances that remain controversial. Those are the undisputed facts. But surrounding those facts is a web of connections, relationships, and unanswered questions that have led intelligence analysts, journalists, and former officials to ask whether Epstein's activities served a purpose beyond personal gratification and blackmail for self-protection. The question that has dominated speculation is whether Epstein was gathering compromising material on powerful individuals for the benefit of a foreign intelligence service, specifically Israel's Mossad. For years, this theory existed in the realm of speculation, fueled by circumstantial evidence and the inherent secrecy surrounding Epstein's life and death. But in late 2025, something changed. President Trump signed the Epstein Files Transparency Act, ordering the declassification and release of government documents related to the Epstein case. In January 2026, the Department of Justice began releasing those files. Over 3 million pages of documents, including FBI memos, financial records, visitor logs, and email correspondence. And what they revealed added substantial new evidence to the intelligence connection theory. The most explosive revelation came from an FBI memo dated October 2020. In this document, a confidential informant told FBI agents that they believed Jeffrey Epstein was a co-opted Mossad agent who had been trained as a spy. The informant claimed that Epstein's operation was designed to compromise powerful individuals and gather intelligence for Israeli interests. Now, it's critical to note that this is an informant's belief, not verified fact. FBI memos document what sources tell them. They don't necessarily confirm those claims are true. But the fact that the FBI took this information seriously enough to document it tells us that the intelligence connection theory wasn't just internet conspiracy. It was being actively considered by federal investigators. The documents also revealed extensive connections between Epstein and Ehud Barak, who served as Israel's prime minister from 1999 to 2001 and was also Israel's most decorated soldier and a former head of military intelligence. Visitor logs from Epstein's Manhattan mansion show that Barak visited dozens of times between 2013 and 2017, long after Epstein's 2008 conviction for soliciting prostitution from a minor. Why would a former Israeli prime minister and intelligence chief maintain such close contact with a registered sex offender? Barak has stated publicly that he was consulting for Epstein on various business ventures, nothing more. The two men were business partners in a tech company called Carbine, which developed emergency response software. Barak claimed his relationship with Epstein was purely professional and that he was unaware of any ongoing criminal activity. But the released emails paint a more complex picture. They show Barak and Epstein discussing international schemes involving Syria and Libya, coordinating travel, and maintaining a relationship that went far beyond typical business consulting. Even more significant is the revelation of Yoni Koren's involvement. Koren was a senior officer in Israeli military intelligence and served as a close aide to Ehud Barak. The newly released documents show that Cohen stayed at Epstein's Manhattan residence multiple times between 2013 and 2016. An active Israeli intelligence officer staying at the home of an individual under FBI investigation raises obvious questions. What was the nature of that relationship? Was Cohen there in an official capacity? Was Israeli intelligence monitoring Epstein, using him, or both? The Israeli government has issued forceful denials. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stated that Ehud Barak's relationship with Epstein proves the opposite of intelligence involvement, suggesting that if Epstein had been a Mossad asset, he would have been more discreet. Former Prime Minister Naftali Bennett declared with 100% certainty that accusations of Epstein working for Israel or Mossad are categorically and totally false. Yossi Cohen, who served as Mossad director, stated that Epstein had absolutely nothing to do with Mossad. These are strong, unequivocal denials from the highest levels of Israeli government and intelligence. But they haven't quieted the questions, in part because of what else the documents reveal. Financial records show that Epstein donated substantial sums to Israeli causes, including Friends of the Israeli Defense Forces and organizations supporting Israeli settlements in the West Bank. He maintained properties and bank accounts connected to Israeli businessmen and officials. And multiple people in his orbit, including Ghislaine Maxwell, had family connections to Israeli intelligence. Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, was a British media mogul who, according to multiple biographies and former Mossad officials, worked for Israeli intelligence. After his death in 1991, several former Mossad officers publicly stated that he had been an asset. Whether his daughter inherited or continued any of those connections remains unknown, but it adds another layer of Israeli intelligence proximity to Epstein's operation. So what are we to make of all this? Let's be very clear about what we know and what we don't. We know that Epstein had extensive connections to Israeli political and military figures. We know that an FBI informant believed he was working for Mossad. We know that people with intelligence backgrounds were in his orbit. We know that his operation, with its hidden cameras and focus on powerful individuals, fits the theoretical profile of a compromat operation. What we don't know, and what has not been proven by any publicly available evidence, is that Epstein was formally recruited, controlled, or directed by any intelligence agency. There's a significant difference between being connected to intelligence figures and being an intelligence operative. It's possible that Epstein simply cultivated relationships with powerful people across many sectors, including intelligence and military figures, as part of his broader strategy of accumulating influence and protection. It's possible that intelligence services were aware of his activities and chose to monitor rather than stop him, seeing potential intelligence value without directly controlling him. It's also possible that he was more directly involved in intelligence operations than any public evidence has yet revealed. The intelligence community operates in layers of deniability. True intelligence assets are often protected by multiple cutouts, false covers, and official denials. The most sensitive operations are designed to be deniable even if exposed. So the absence of direct proof doesn't necessarily mean the theory is false, but it also doesn't make it true. What we're left with is a circumstantial case that is strong enough to warrant serious questions but not conclusive enough to prove the theory beyond doubt. What makes this case so compelling to intelligence analysts is how well Epstein's operation fits the historical playbook of compromat intelligence gathering. During the Cold War, both the KGB and Western intelligence services regularly used sexual compromise as a recruitment and control tool. The KGB's honey trap operations were legendary, using attractive men and women to seduce targets and then leveraging the resulting compromise for intelligence purposes. The CIA has acknowledged using similar tactics in certain operations, though details remain classified. If a modern intelligence service wanted to gather compromat on Western political, business, and academic elites, what would that operation look like? It would probably involve creating private spaces where powerful people felt comfortable engaging in activities they wanted to keep secret. It would involve documenting those activities through hidden surveillance. It would involve a charismatic operator who could gain trust and facilitate introductions between targets. It would involve maintaining plausible deniability through legitimate business covers. And it would involve protecting the operator through political and legal means to keep the operation running as long as possible. That description matches Epstein's operation almost exactly. Does that prove it was an intelligence operation? No. Does it explain why intelligence professionals find the theory plausible? Absolutely. The circumstantial fit is remarkable, which is why the theory persists despite official denials. The political dimension of this story has become increasingly contentious. In conservative media and political circles, the Epstein-Mossad connection has become a significant topic of discussion. Tucker Carlson publicly questioned the connections during speeches. Representative Anna Paulina Luna stated after meeting with Epstein survivors that it is possible Epstein was a foreign intelligence asset. Representative Thomas Massie has publicly called for investigation of Epstein's ties to Israel. This isn't fringe conspiracy theorizing anymore, it's entered mainstream political discourse. But it's also become politically weaponized in ways that complicate honest investigation. Some on the political right use the Epstein case to question U.S.-Israel relations more broadly. Some on the left use it to criticize wealthy elites and political connections. The result is that the legitimate questions about Epstein's intelligence connections become entangled with broader political agendas, making it harder to separate fact from politically motivated speculation. What should we make of the official Israeli denials? They're worth taking seriously, but with appropriate skepticism. No intelligence service would ever confirm that a compromised operative had been working for them, even decades after the fact. Confirmation would validate the intelligence value of the operation, compromise other assets, and create diplomatic catastrophe. Standard intelligence doctrine is deny, 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 regardless of truth. So official denials, while important to note, don't resolve the question. Similarly, the FBI informant's claims, while significant, aren't proof. Informants can be wrong. They can have limited information. They can have their own agendas. The FBI documents what informants tell them, but that documentation doesn't equal verification. What the informant's claims do tell us is that serious people within the intelligence community considered this theory credible enough to report it and document it. That shifts the theory from speculation to documented possibility, but it still doesn't prove it. One of the most frustrating aspects of this case is that the people who could provide answers are dead, imprisoned, or staying silent. Epstein is dead. Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison serving a 20-year sentence and has refused to name other participants in the operation. Ehud Barak and other Israeli figures deny any improper conduct. The institutional incentives all point toward secrecy. Anyone who was involved has every reason to stay quiet. Any intelligence service that might have been involved has every reason to deny it. Any government that might have been compromised has every reason to avoid investigation. So where does this leave us? The newly released documents have moved the Epstein-Mossad theory from the realm of pure speculation into documented possibility. We now know that FBI informants reported believing Epstein worked for Israeli intelligence. We know that Epstein had extensive, documented connections to former Israeli intelligence officials and political leaders. We know that Israeli intelligence officers stayed at his properties. We know that his operation structure matches the theoretical profile of an intelligence compromat operation. What we still don't have is smoking gun proof of formal intelligence agency control. The truth about Jeffrey Epstein may never be fully known. Too many people have too much incentive to keep secrets. Too many documents remain classified. Too many participants are dead or silent. What we can say with certainty is that Epstein's operation, whatever its ultimate purpose, touched the highest levels of power in multiple countries. If you want to stay informed on breaking intelligence stories, declassified revelations, and the hidden networks of power shaping global events, subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell.